Welcome to the fourth episode of the Coffee Table Podcast. We took a little time off last week, and we had a little something. We had a little continuation of our third episode with the Deacon, aka Dave Jones. We had that.
The great Dave Jones.
Yeah, we had that take place last week. That was actually not last week, but the week before. We took some time off. We're zooming now based on the COVID situation. And here we are, episode Funky Cole Medina. How you doing, boss?
I'm feeling funky fresh. You know, I got a little Medina in this glass. That's how it be.
You're looking real nice with this haircut. Let's go. Tell me a little something about this haircut. Where we
well,
go?
First of all, I'd like to shout out our sponsor, the Crow's Nest.
Crow's Nest.
Went over there, got my boy Hendel to cut my hair. Hendel the man. Hendel or Frank. It's funny because I walk in there, and as I'm sitting in the seat, and Hendel's tightening me up, Frank goes, "You're in good hands." He goes, "Hendel's one of my top 25 barbers." I said, "Only top 25, really?" I said, "You're giving me top 25?" He goes, "Nah, that's a good thing." He said, "This dude will give you the tightest fade," and he did, man. A good fade and everything. And you know, Frank got jokes the whole time, but that's how it be. Hendel was chill.
Shout out Hendel. Oh, and if you want to peep him, man, you want to see a little something about him, go to, his Instagram page, Blessed by Hendel,
Blessed by Hendel. Yeah, I'm about to give that the follow later. Blessed by Hendel. And,
you got blessed.
I did get blessed. That's exactly what I did. I got blessed. You guys want to take a look at this, man?
See, you got the funky fresh turtleneck on with the, with the Jesus, with your little Jesus cross, your Jesus piece.
Little Jesus piece looking like old school Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson minus the mustache.
In the muscles.
Minus the muscles.
That's all right. Sexy. Hey, shout out Fresh West for putting this together, making sure
shout out Fresh West. Yes, sir.
Man, so I suppose we should get into it, man. Oh, what you got in your cup? What you sipping on?
I'm actually sipping on water today. High quality H2O today.
That's funny you say that. I was gonna grab water too, but I'm sipping on some of that good orange juice. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny you say that because I was gonna sip on orange juice, but I was out, so I had to go water.
Yeah,
I had to go water. That's funny. We almost went the opposite way, both of us. That's funny.
Word.
But all right, we'll start this show off with two RIPS. One, we'll start with the most recent one, Sekou Smith, and kind of the lesser important one. Not that Sekou Smith's death wasn't important, but the next person's name is big. Sekou Smith's death, part of Turner Sports, part of TNT. Big name, huge guy. He was an announcer, everyone loved him. Condolences out to his family and everything. And Coach, I don't know if you have anything you want to say, but
I heard it today when I heard that, actually, not sure if it was last night. Yeah, it was last night. I was, I'm always trying to watch hoop or trying to doze in and out of games and whatnot. Even when I tell myself I'm gonna try to do something else, I always end up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kind of addicted. Oh, you hear that crazy noise in the background? That's just my washer machine. It just, the dryer actually just finished doing what it's supposed to do. So anyways, Sekou Smith, man, rest in peace. Man, it just seems like he is just a real good cat, man. And I was watching what David Aldridge was saying about him. David Aldridge is another long time, analyst slash, he's been heavy in the NBA. I'll talk about him a little bit in a second too.
Yeah, and
he gave him a shout out, man, and basically said he's just one of those guys that doesn't do the dirty stuff to try to get to the top. And I thought that was very telling. And I always liked Sekou Smith just off of kind of how he carried himself. He seemed like a good dude.
Right.
I reached out to my guy who's going to be a future guest for us, Mike Wells. Because they mentioned Sekou Smith originally started out in Indiana. And I was like, ooh, if he was in Indiana, I know my boy Mike. And just in general, I just kind of felt.
And Mike knew him?
Yeah, Mike hit me back real. I hit him this morning. I'm sure Mike had to work, but I hit him back. I hit him this morning and said, man, did you and Sekou tight? Because me and Mike are tight. And so I figured Sekou would definitely be, if Mike's tight with him, he got to be the dude. And that him and Sekou talk almost daily.
So he must be hurting over that then too.
Yeah, man. So I sent him condolences and I'll hear when we get him on the show, we'll have him talk a little bit about Sekou and tell some Sekou stories.
Yeah, and then before we get into the second RIP, which is a big one, kind of just a 1 year anniversary RIP of Kobe's death. And I don't get my feels a lot very quickly, but last night I was reminiscing. I was like, damn, because there was like, where were you when Kobe died? And I was actually on my way to go coach soccer, like some soccer game over at Excel Sports Complex in Saco. And usually, you know me, I'm a very outgoing, animated guy, and I bring that to the coaching field or court, wherever I am. I'm one of the most animated coaches out there, and I remember that was the quietest I've ever been after Kobe died in that game. I had no words pregame, very little to say halftime, and I think it still is affecting the sporting world to this day that Kobe died, even though it's been a year. But because it was so unexpectedly. But I just want to get that. But the next RIP goes to arguably the greatest baseball player of all time, Hank Aaron, Big Bang Hank dying. And that's kind of, to me, that was kind of a sign that, like, okay, it's time to get back onto the Coffee Table podcast. Because Hank Aaron died. Hank Aaron was like a big deal in baseball. And we had this conversation. I can't remember with who. I think it was with Deacon about Hank Aaron, Ken Griffey Jr., those guys being really the staples, and Jackie Robinson of baseball. And one of the threes, and Hank Aaron's gone now. So definitely tough. And I don't know if you had anything you wanted to say on that, Coach.
Yeah, I wanted to add to your Hank Aaron piece and a little bit to the Kobe piece. So Hank Aaron, man, it's funny, we were talking about our top 5 and who was in that list and who wasn't in that list. And there's no question Henry Aaron, to me, is probably the best of all time. I mean, he broke Babe Ruth's record under extreme pressure. Several people wanting to kill him because they didn't want him to break the Big Bambino's record, which he just didn't even sweat and went on and broke. They said thousands of death threat letters, And back then, those letters, I don't want to say meant a little more, but when you get death threats now and get that type of stuff now, it's from keyboard warriors. I mean, those people took time to straight up write and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Let him know they wanted to slit his throat, basically, man.
Right.
For being good and being black. So, not even for being good, for being black and being good, I should say. But just what he dealt with and how he handled it, and class act, huge off the field, and then just his numbers were ridiculous. One of the analysts were saying that if you took away, I don't know how many of his home runs, it still wouldn't have mattered. He had well over 3,000 hits. So it was like, wow.
Yeah, actually, you know what? Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Continue on that. I'm gonna get his stats up. I had them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get his stats up. But
Hank. Yeah.
I have his career stats right here. So Hank Aaron, in his career, had obviously 755 home runs, 3,771 hits.
Yeah. So they said you could take away all his home runs.
Yeah.
He'll have $3,000 hits.
He would.
That's insane.
And then you have 2,174 runs, 2,297 RBIs, 240 stolen bases, and probably the 2 most impressive stats for me of his would be his batting average. So for those of you who know in baseball, anyone that's over 300 as a career hitter is great. Hank Aaron was .305.
Yeah,
career.
6.
Career, and his on base percentage career is .374.
Wow. Hey, how often was he walked?
Walked. Let me look.
That number was insane too, from what I had heard.
Yeah. Okay. You ready for this?
Yeah.
1,402. 1,402.
Wow.
He was walked over 1,400 times.
Wow. And a lot of those were intentional.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'd probably say over half are intentional. That's just, anyways, number 1 baseball player ever, my opinion. So rest in peace, Hammer and Hank, Big Bang Hank, whatever you like to call him. And wanted to jump back to the Kobe piece. Just talking about where we were in the moment. I was in a movie theater. Buddy of mine, Nick Cleash, used to coach football with me, currently coaching at a local high school, texted me and said, man, did you hear about Kobe? And I was like, what?
Well, yeah, it's funny you said that, because I was on my way to coaching. I was in the passenger seat, and my friend said Kobe died. And I go, no, he didn't. I go, you're lying to me right now. And then he sends me the TMZ link. And I just went dead quiet. I didn't say a word. Again, as I told you, like my energy that I bring to every show, Coach, you've seen me on the field in games and in practices. You know that energy I bring.
I know how you
So
get
imagine me being dead quiet. That's the effect it had on me. Silent, saying maybe 5 words the whole game coaching.
Right. And it's funny because Fresh Wes and I, before we got on the podcast, we were just Zooming, talking to each other, and he was saying the same thing. Like, no one believed it. That just kind of lets you know how Kobe is. You kind of look at him as invincible. Like I think that was the thing with Kobe.
That's exactly what Kobe was. And see, the thing is, not only Kobe, but all the other people that died on that helicopter too. Yes. All good people, all bright futures. And if she was still here today, Gianna Bryant would be making a name for herself wherever she was.
Absolutely. So anyway, you want to say rest in peace
to all those people.
To those people and man, and to their families.
Yes, and the pain that their families are feeling and the supporters and everything. But kind of on that note, rookie watch for the NBA.
Yeah, did you want to do rookie watch? Yeah.
Okay. I want to do rookie watch now, then we'll do our NBA stuff, and then we'll hit our NFL stuff. Gotcha. And not to point out the obvious, but Coach and I still are hurting from our rookie predictions, man. It's like we predicted Obi Toppin as our rookie of the year. He's not even the best rookie on his team. Right. I'm gonna just put it that way. Not only in the league, he's not even the best rookie on his team.
Is he even playing? Is he even playing yet?
He's starting to play, but so the issue, and I will get into this in more detail later, but the issue I'm having with what Tibbs is doing is Tibbs is starting, I believe he's starting 2 guards. I think he's starting Elfrid. Yeah, he's starting Elfrid Payton, RJ Barrett, Reggie Bullock, or Austin Rivers, I think. No, I think it's Austin Rivers, RJ Barrett, Reggie Bullock, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson. And okay. My issue with it is that even though Obi Toppin is technically a power forward, he can play the 3. And I think he's better than Reggie Bullock. And I think if he was starting instead of coming off the bench, because Tibbs sees it as he's Julius Randle's replacement. I see it as he could be starting over Reggie Bullock, and I think his numbers would be better. I know he was injured, but I still think his numbers could be better if he was being given starter minutes.
Yeah, I'm not understanding what Tibbs is doing either.
But whatever Tibbs is doing is working. It's working.
There's a reason he's the coach and we aren't, right?
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, so rookie watch. Points per game. Anthony Edwards of Minnesota has 12.3, but I looked that and I'm a quote Walter Phillips for a second. You know Walter Phillips, coach. You know the type of guy he is. This 12.3 by Anthony Edwards is what he would call empty buckets, meaning you're getting buckets, but your team ain't winning. Minnesota stinks. That's the bottom line. 12.3 points per game, Anthony Edwards.
I can't say what he's doing is completely empty because I feel like
it's not completely empty, but you get my point. They're not winning.
Yeah, I got you. He's playing a role. He's playing a role that he needs to play. He's not trying to dominate anybody else in the squad. They got some ballers in that squad,
and I don't know how that squad's not better. I don't know how that squad's not better.
And Cat has been going through it. So go ahead.
So Anthony Edwards 12.3. We got James Wiseman with 11.9. Tyrese Halliburton from Sacramento with 11.4, who, by the way, is looking like the steal of the draft, who a lot of Knicks fans wanted them to draft over Obi Toppin. I just want to shelf that idea.
Okay.
You got LaMelo Ball with 11.3 and Cole Anthony with 11. Now, Cole Anthony's been coming off the bench. LaMelo's been coming off the bench, and Wiseman's been coming off the bench. And actually, of those 3 players, Wiseman's the only one that's playing under 24 minutes a game. He's averaging 21 minutes a game and getting 12 points a game.
Okay.
Which is pretty impressive. In terms of rebounds, LaMelo Ball has 6.1. James Wiseman has 5.9. Detroit's Isaiah Stewart has 5.4. Miami's Precious Achiuwa has 4.9. Cole Anthony has 4.6. And assists, LaMelo Ball 5.9. Tyrese Halliburton 4.9. Killian Hayes 3.6. Cole Anthony 3.3. And Oklahoma City's Teo Maledon with 2.8, just beating out the Celtics' Peyton Pritchard. Now, one quick note before I get to my next stat is I owe an NBA player a sincere apology.
Okay,
And you know where this is going.
I do.
I need to apologize to Russell Westbrook for calling turnovers Westbrooks. I need to formally change the name.
Disrespectful. That was pretty disrespectful.
It was disrespectful, but certain people will think that my new name will be more disrespectful. I need to change turnovers to Hardens because James Harden is really putting up the turnovers. And I know you. Listen, man, it's either Hardens or I don't know. I need to find the person all time that had the most turnovers because. But anyways, speaking of Hardens,
Yeah, that's a great segue. That's a great segue.
Well, but hold on. Before we get into talking about Harden and the draft, I want to talk about Devin Vassell. Now, why Devin Vassell? I didn't send this to you, so you don't know this is coming. But I was scrolling through Facebook this morning, and I saw this stat. Devin Vassell, who plays a decent amount of minutes for the Spurs, has not recorded a single turnover or Harden in 11 straight games.
How often does he have the rock?
We can check how many minutes per game he gets. However, regardless of that, that's still pretty impressive.
Though. That's important.
That is important. I'll give you that.
I love Bron, man, but Bron can be a turnover king too. But when
he can be a Harden king. He can be a Harden king. Okay, Vassell is averaging 19 minutes a game.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Averaging 30 minutes a game or almost 40 like a Harden.
And committing a lot of Hardens is tough.
When the ball's in your hand all the time.
Yeah. But anyways, that's my apology to Westbrook. Okay. However, I don't know if you saw on Instagram, Washington played Houston last night in Houston. And Westbrook airballs a 3. And the Houston announcer says, "We've seen that before."
Yeah, that was clowning.
That was clowning. And then I don't know if you listened after, they said you can't make some people a shooter. You got to tell them not to shoot. I just started busted out laughing, man. They clowned Westbrook.
Yeah, but you know what, man? You can't. That dude Westbrook, man. Look at his numbers. I was looking at some of his triple doubles, and he was having 50-something point triple doubles. Check.
Right.
I mean, I'm not going.
Okay, but again, it's empty buckets. Is Washington, and you know what? I feel that first of all, Westbrook's having not a very good point scoring season. He's only averaging 18.1, 10.2 assists, and 9.7 rebounds. But I feel bad. The person I feel bad for is Bradley Beal, man. You saw that video of him just shaking his head last night. What?
He's averaging like 30?
Bradley? Oh, yeah. He's averaging 32 or 33, and he's just not winning. Bradley Beal needs to – and what he saw John Wall go to Houston and win. He's saying, damn.
But that's what tells you something, though. Like, I mean, I know how you feel about Westbrook, and you kind of feel like he does a lot of things, like empty points and kind of pats his stats, but he's been to several teams where he's put up those type of numbers. Not 30-something a game, but –
right. No. Well, here's the thing. Bradley Beal is leading the league in points right now. He's averaging 34.4.
Right, and lost.
And he's doing it, but he's also doing it on 53% shooting, and he's doing it on 35% from 3. They're losing.
That's impressive.
They're losing. I feel bad for Bradley Beal.
Right.
All I'm saying is I feel bad for Bradley Beal because he's been put in this situation where, especially when it comes to all-star voting, if you're not in a top 8, top 10 team, it's very hard for you to get into the All-Star game, especially if there's a lot of good people at your position, which at shooting guard there is.
He'll get in there this year.
He will, but I'm saying that many years he's been snubbed. What?
That he's going to win a ring with the Lakers.
You think he's going to come?
And hold on. And Fresh West. Hold on, Fresh West. And who are they going to trade for Bradley Beal?
Whoever they want. I'm telling you right now. Take it to the bank.
Listen, man, Fresh West, if Bradley Beal ends up on the Lakers before the end of next year, I will hand you a crisp Andrew Jackson. I will hand you a crisp Andrew Jackson.
All heard it. Everybody's heard it, right? Said he will take care of West and put some cash in his hand. And later on, that you mentioned Cash, I got an interesting fact about Cash later on for our things, are putting you up on game segment. So
put you up on game segment.
Yeah,
put you up on game segment 1. Go to Hendel Lamore for haircuts.
So yeah, man. But I definitely wanted to slide into. We were talking about Harden, and that's your new
That
name.
trade has to be talked about too, at some point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm ready to slide right into that. I'm feeling like the way that took place. So let me give you my opinion. I am not a fan of how he handled his business. I hadn't been a fan, but when he did what he did and said what he said to force that trade and to force a trade to where he's going where he wanted to go, I thought that was suspect. And I'm not a fan of it. Makes me not a fan of him. And I feel like I don't ever want to see him get a ring. Sounds cold blooded, but I don't ever want to
Hey,
see.
listen, that's why I changed it. That's why I changed it to Harden. You give a disrespectful name to a player that just disrespect, because the way he handled it was disrespectful. That's the way it was, period. And the thing is, to think the fact that they got a black coach, which is rare in sports. They gave him they got John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. It's not like he had scrubs around him. He was just refusing to play. That team fully healthy could have done something, honestly.
Right. Well,
and
then
he just didn't want.
He started tanking himself. Like, as far as I'm concerned, he started tanking, averaging 17 a game. James the Beard is a walking bucket. I mean,
17 a game. He was on purpose playing bad.
I agree. There's no question he was not giving it his all the last game. So for him not to give it his all and then to get up on a podium and talk down on his teammates like he was playing with a bunch of scrubs, disrespectful. I feel like he could have carried that team and they could have really made some noise in the West if he would have bought in. So,
right now, no, and I agree with you. And so I think that's a big piece now to the pieces of the trade. To me, there is two big winners in this trade, and one of them is not them, and neither one of them is the Nets. I think the first big winner, in my opinion, is the Cavs, because they got Afro Samurai, Jared Allen, and they got Taurean Prince. What that gave them is a lot more bench depth, which is what they needed. They needed that depth on the bench. They needed the players to commit. They didn't really lose much in return. They kept Sexton, who, by the way, we'll get to later. They kept Darius Garland. The only thing they shipped out was Kevin Porter Jr., but that was a separate trade.
Yeah.
Kevin
Porter Jr. went.
Yeah.
He's in Houston.
Right. But that was a separate trade. I don't know if you knew that.
Houston, but I'm just saying that the coincidence with the Harden piece.
Right. So, And so then, exactly. They kept Andre Drummond, who, by the way, those of you who don't know, Andre Drummond can be 50. He's a guaranteed 15 a night. Guaranteed.
Yes.
Double a night. And then, so they kept all these pieces, and they added Jared Allen, who's a great player, and they added Taurean Prince, who's a good bench player. And I think the other winner, believe it or not, and I'm very shocked that I'm saying this because you know how I reacted when this trade went down, is Indiana. The reason why I think Indiana won, and I don't think there's a bigger Victor Oladipo fan in the state of Maine than me.
Right.
I think you'll be hard pressed to find one. But Victor Oladipo, it was getting to the point where, because of how much time Oladipo had missed due to injury, it was starting to become Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis' show. And Oladipo was kind of getting in the way of that. And I'm not saying that Oladipo didn't fit, because Oladipo in Houston is balling. They're letting that be his show right now, which is good. That's what he needs. They got Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert added the perfect third star that doesn't need to be the main guy to go and ball with Brogdon, another dude that's balling, and Sabonis, another guaranteed double-double guy. So when you add that in, that's impressive, and I think that they won. In my opinion, the Nets are the biggest loser, and people say, "Oh, you're crazy for saying that," because it could be the Rockets, even though I think the Rockets are fine. Because in all of this, the Nets lost all their depth. They're probably going to have chemistry issues because you know how Harden gets come playoff time, and potentially Kyrie. Although I want to save the Kyrie piece for later. I have a tidbit I want to add there, but go ahead. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. I would agree with you. Don't know how much I do like how you have said who the winners and the losers are. I think possibly I think it's an I think Texas made out pretty well.
I think they did too, but I was just making my point about Indiana and Cleveland really either didn't lose much for what they got, or they gained a lot more than they lost.
Got you. I think Indiana probably they're pretty close with Houston for me, because I think the Karis LeVert piece was huge. And hats off to Indiana for him not passing his physical and still taking him on. He had a big mass removed from his kidney. You knew about Karis LeVert, right?
I did. And that's the thing, is Indiana's loyal to their players. The only reason they got rid of Victor Oladipo was because they knew that what I said. I believe that it's because if you look at the numbers this year, first of all, Malcolm Brogdon is an extremely underrated basketball player. Let's start there. And he's been balling. Like if you look at Malcolm Brogdon's stats, search, I'll pull up for you. He has been balling. So that's why I think that was really so yeah. Let's look at Brogdon. All right, Brogdon is averaging 22.7 points per game with 7.2 assists. He is 0.2 away, and he's 2% away. He's shooting 48% from the field from doing 50, 40, 90 again.
Yeah, no, Brogdon's the truth. I feel like they loved Oladipo and Oladipo loved it there, but they knew it had to be a good mutual split.
Right, and I think it was a good mutual split. I think it was.
I do too. And Oladipo was trying to get his bearings under him. And I just don't want to say the fit didn't work anymore, but I think they were ready for a change, and he was ready for a change. So that made complete sense. I think Karis LeVert's going to fit in perfect there. That's
exactly. And Indiana's sitting second right now in the East, only behind the 76ers, which we'll get into in a second.
Yeah, because I got an MVP guy.
No, I know. And I think that Indiana's had a good season. And again, I think Sabonis, because I told you, he's the only player in the first 9 games. He's the 5th player in NBA history in the first 9 games to have a double-double in the first 9 games in each one. And I think that he's a player that goes widely underappreciated too. And you add those 2 players in, and I think that they're really they're gelling well. And Karis LeVert will come in, and Karis LeVert's role on that team is going to be, okay, if someone's sticking Sabonis or someone's sticking Brogdon and they're having an off day, kick the ball to Karis LeVert, let him get his 25 points a game. That's what he's going to be doing. But then if they're all balling, what?
Karis plays D. So let's get back to
D. That's the other thing.
Let's get back to the Nets on where you're looking at them kind of being losers.
So here's the thing with the Nets is, so I think that Harden is a wild card come playoff time. He kind of tends to fall off in the playoffs. There's a lot of players in one ball. And I hate to say this because I've loved this player since he was drafted by Cleveland, but the ultimate wild card is Kyrie Irving. Where is Kyrie Irving going to be in terms of headspace when they need him most? That is always a question. And props to Kyrie Irving on buying a house for George Floyd's family, by the way. That's why he took that leave of absence. I actually spoke to, I believe it was the Deacon about this. He said that the biggest issue he had with that was how both sides handled it. He said there was a lack of communication as to what was going on between Kyrie and the organization. Yeah. And then Steve Nash, as a rookie head coach, made the mistake of going out to the media and making assumptions that, I don't know why he's not playing, blah, 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 this and that. He should have just kept it quiet and waited until they found out and then said something. So I think that's the case. But so props to Kyrie for doing that. But I think the biggest issue for the Nets is this. We have seen videos multiple times of James Harden going at it with Chris Paul, James Harden going at it with Russell Westbrook in key moments of big playoff games. Now you got Kyrie Irving's ego, who also has done the same thing with other players in the past. On top of all that, you got Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant is like, listen, y'all just shut up and give me the ball. He's that type of player. Now, are KD or are Kyrie and James Harden going to be willing to do that? Or if they have an open shot, are they going to be saying, okay, I'm just going to take this shot? Because all 3 of them are clutch shooters, but you run into the problem of, can they get it done? Because everyone's saying, well, the big 3 of LeBron and them got it done. Yeah, because they each knew their role. Kevin Love's role was, I'm going to get rebounds and I'm going to play D and I'm going to score when I need to score. Kyrie's role was bring the ball up and shoot. LeBron's role was just be the leader. I think between the 3 of them, they don't have their roles established yet. And I think key proof of that was the Cleveland games, but I also don't know if they're going to be able to get that come playoff time.
So like I said what I said about Harden, and I meant what I said about Harden earlier in regards to not wanting him ever to win a championship after he went out the way he went out with Houston. Didn't like that one bit, but I will take my hat off to James, man. He is sacrificing with no qualms right now. If you watch him, he has decided to play the point guard, and I think that's the smartest bet for them. Put him at the point. He can average 10, 12 assists a game, and he's only shooting 10 times a game right now. Now the question is,
but the thing you're forgetting is that Kyrie also plays point guard too, and he's going to want to start.
They shifted Kyrie over to the 2. To me, this is exactly what I would do. I would move Kyrie over to the 2, and if James isn't in the game and Kyrie is, then Kyrie plays the point. So James has been there, averaging about 17.
I think
about 10 to 12 assists a game. But
I believe.
But we're used to. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We're used to James just ISO him for 20 seconds of possession and then jacking up a 3 or breaking someone's ankles and getting to the cup. Man, he has took a totally different stance, man, and he's distributing the ball. I cannot hate on him for that.
He is since going to Brooklyn, he's averaging 11.3 assists a game.
Yeah, can't. That's key for down the road. To me, the biggest move for them getting James Harden that hurt them the most is they got rid of all their defense.
That's my point. They lost Afro Samurai, which was huge. They lost Karis LeVert. And by the way, I don't know if you guys remember this, but remember that Karis LeVert injury he had when he dislocated his ankle and everyone thought it was going to be a really, really big deal a couple years back. I was a big Karis LeVert fan back then because I saw the potential in this kid. And that's why I'm saying put him in Indiana. And I think that that Indiana team could surprise people.
Right.
And only because I haven't heard you say this all podcast am I going to bring this up. I still think Nate McMillan should be their coach. Nate McMillan played for the great Supersonics and coach.
Bring back our Sonics. Bring them back.
There you go. Oh, by the way, quick thing before we continue. This is kind of just out to our fans and followers. And also if Wes wants to go ahead and put this down, please like, follow, and subscribe the YouTube channel, the Instagram page, the Facebook page, all of that. Please.
Yes, thank you, sir, for doing that. Back to the Harden piece, though, or the Nets. So, like I said, I can't hate on Harden right now. I mean, I hate on him because of what he did.
Right.
As a hooper, I can't hate on the route that he's taken. I think the route that he's gone and has just said, look, I'll be the guy that distributes. Kyrie, you get your buckets, and you get your buckets, KD. Don't forget, they also got Dinwiddie that'll be back next year.
I was going to mention that. They're
going to be a problem, but Dinwiddie actually plays defense too. But their defense is going to be their issue, and they're talking right now about grabbing either Kevin Love or swooping the big man from Cleveland too. That we were just talking about. They're talking
Andre Drummond.
They're talking about grabbing Drummond.
You know what I heard that was interesting. It really grabbed my attention. Was I heard that what was it I heard? Oh yeah, that the Lakers might be interested in trying to get Kevin Love because LeBron loves playing with his old teammates.
Kevin Love would be great. Kevin Love will be great in any organization, especially as a role player.
Well, because that's the thing is Kevin Love doesn't mind playing his role.
Right.
He doesn't mind sacrificing buckets and doing his thing.
So are they talking about trying to trade Gasol for him? Because they're
I don't know. I just heard that as a potential rumor.
Okay. So, anyways,
speaking actually, no. Well, when you're done with that, I was going to say we should go into potential trades as that is a segue. But when you're done with that, we'll go into.
I'm good on the Nets piece. So the Nets need defense. If they're going to do anything, they need D. They're letting teams score 180 points on them a game. They need
something like that.
But if they get some defenders, it's going to be a tough situation for whoever plays them.
One quick thing, I'm gonna let you know. We'll save that for the end. On to potential trades. So I'm gonna let you start this because I know that you have a trade that you're itching to say that I actually agree with
about it,
but I don't want to happen because I don't want to hear it from Boston fans all summer. But go ahead.
This is a trade.
It's okay. I don't want to hear it from Boston fans all summer if they win the finals because of this trade. Go ahead.
It won't. This trade won't happen.
Right.
But I've been thinking about it, man, and I think I'm the only one that's ever even thought about this, to tell you the truth. And I love Kemba to death. Love Kemba Walker. I was the one screaming, you guys, before anyone was even talking about it. like well before anyone was talking about it. I'm like, you need to get Kemba. You need to just let Kyrie go and get Kemba over there ASAP.
And they did that.
And they ended up doing it, you know. But I mean, I was talking about it well before Danny was probably even thinking about it, right?
Right. When Danny was on the Kyrie train when they were balling that one year.
Yes, I love Kemba, but I think he could be better positioned on another team, and I think another player could be better positioned on the Celtics. And the other reason I feel like the situation with the Celtics is they have too many guards. But I mean, you look, they got Pritchard, who's actually hurt now.
They got Smart.
They got they got Smart, who's, you know, he's like a 2 guard. I'm talking point guards.
Oh, they got Teague.
They got Teague. They got Kemba. And they have oh man, he's from out here in Maine. He be balling. He played for the Red Claws. Man, where's my boy Lou? If I was on the line with my boy Lewis, man, right now he'd tell me exactly who it is, man. Trayvon
Waters, right?
Trayvon Waters.
Yeah, Waters.
Filthy, right? But that's a lot of point guards. And they even got Carson Edwards,
who hasn't been playing.
No. So someone got to go. So
Two's got to go. I say you get rid of 2.
You have to. There's no question. So, but what 2 go, right? They love Peyton Pritchard. I could see him staying there because Peyton Pritchard reminds me of a Barrera. That's who he reminds me of.
JJ? He reminds you of JJ?
Barrera, yeah. Like a Barrera and also a Augustine in regards to being a long stay. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
oh, okay. I see what you're saying there.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were saying play style. I was going to say, I don't know about all that, but okay.
Well, you got to go back and look at JJ Barrera in his early years too.
I'll give you that. He was a key piece to them beating
Bron in them, right? But even before
I couldn't say it. I'm still not.
I mean, don't get it twisted. They swept the Lakers too in the Lakers' heyday. We can get into all kinds of different stuff of what that Dallas team did to different teams.
Okay, you know why that Dallas team did that?
Why is that?
Because Dirk Nowitzki is the most underrated great player of all time.
He is one of the most underrated, but they also had other pieces there that were great for that squad. So neither here nor there. But what I'm saying is Pritchard reminds me of a JJ Barrera Augustine type. And what I mean by that is they're going to be a mainstay. They're not going to dominate the league, but they're not going to ever hurt a basketball team. They're always going to be welcome to a team. That's where I see Pritchard. I don't see Pritchard coming out and he's averaging 20. That's not going to happen for him. I'm sorry.
Hey, you know who else is in that category?
Who?
Old man Alex Caruso.
Caruso, yeah.
Bald man Alex Caruso. Yeah. By the way, funny story. Alex Caruso is like 25, 26 years old. When I first saw him, I thought he was 35 years old, man.
Yeah.
That dude's hairline.
Bald is beautiful, man. Bald is beautiful. Don't ever sleep on that. So but you do have those type of players. Your Carusos, your Augustines, who are great players, man, and great teammates, great team players. I think Pritchard's going to fit that. But I think he'll be a long stay in Boston. I don't see them getting rid of him. Okay, Teague, filthy. Now here's the trade I'm talking about. No one's ever going to do it, but this is what I would do if I was Boston and or the 76ers.
Okay,
I would make a trade. If I'm Boston, I would make a trade to try to get Ben Simmons. Okay. Now let me go into why I would do that. The reason I would want to get Ben Simmons there is he completes the defensive chain with Jaylen Brown playing D the way he does, Marcus Smart, Tristan Thompson, Tice, all those guys, they play D. Right? So, but the thing about it that makes Ben Simmons fit there the most, in my opinion,
right?
He can guard 1 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
He can get his own shot because he's 6'10". So he's going to have, and he only shoots 10 to 12 times a game. You know what I mean?
So it's not someone you have to worry about that wants to take 20, 30 shots a game.
No. And I'm not saying you have to worry about that with Kemba. I'm just saying Kemba needs more shots in general. That's just kind of how his game has been. But with Ben Simmons, he fits that mold, in my opinion, because Tatum wants to take 20 to 25 shots a game. Jaylen Brown, he needs 15 to 20 a game. He doesn't take more than Tatum, but between the two of them, that could be 40 shots a game. So you only need your point guard or Ben Simmons taking 10 to 12 shots, which he takes anyways. He's not shooting no jumpers. You leave that up to everybody else. And he just hovers around the basket, gets everybody else involved, and he D's up. If they got Ben Simmons, my opinion, they go to the championship. That's my opinion.
But I don't know if they beat the Lakers. And here's why.
Well, hold on. We'll get to that in a bit. I'm talking about going to the championship. I didn't say
Hold on. You think that team beats Brooklyn?
Yes, I do.
I agree with you on that because Brooklyn doesn't have anyone to guard Ben Simmons.
Yeah, well, Brooklyn better make some moves to get some defenders. They don't have anyone to guard Tatum.
Brooklyn's biggest mistake in that trade, and I said this from the beginning, and I know why they couldn't do this because of the value difference, but they got rid of the wrong big man. DeAndre Jordan is not the same player he was 10 years ago, 5 years ago even. And you got
Afro Samurai instead.
They should have, because imagine Afro Samurai would have kept their paint protected.
And he gets buckets. He's double-doubling right now.
And he gets buckets.
But the thing about the Andre piece was, man, that was a guy that they wanted to stay there. He bought completely into being what KD and what Uncle Drew wanted. So that's fine. So let me get back to that, what I was talking about. So we have that situation with Boston, right?
Right.
Now, what two do you trade? If I'm the 76ers, I want Kemba and I want Teague.
And maybe a pick.
And maybe a pick. Yeah, and maybe a pick. Second rounder, whatever. But I need those two. So if you get those two, now you got Teague who can play your one and he can play your two. So he'll be a backup for Steph's little brother and a backup for Kemba, right? Now Kemba can get that 17 to 20 something points a game now because he can stay. He's gonna make sure the big man's fed just like Ben did. He can play a good amount of defense at the one. So they're gonna lose the fact that Ben can guard all those positions. But the 76ers play D in general.
They do. They are a very defensively oriented team.
Right. So, but a big part of that is Ben Simmons. So I don't want to take that away.
Well, Joel Embiid's a big piece too.
Oh yeah, and Tobias plays D. They all play D. But I feel like if you make that swap, you don't lose much with either squad. I feel like both those point guards fill the void of the team that they're on a lot better. But that's just me.
Right. Okay. So that covers that. Next topic I want to touch on quickly. So I have in the NBA, we have 3 topics left. We'll get in. So the last topic we'll do is like impressive performers in terms of past couple games or teams that are surprising. But the last two, that also goes inside with the second to last topic. But the last big major topic I want to talk about involves Donovan Mitchell and Shaq's comments about Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
Rich, first of all, I loved what Shaq said to Donovan Mitchell, but I'm going to just share with you guys Donovan Mitchell's stats so far this year. 23.4 points, 4.9 assists. And here's the interesting thing. He's shooting almost 40% from 3.
Balling. That's all it is.
And Utah has the second best record in the NBA behind both LAs. The thing about Donovan Mitchell that I want to touch upon before we get to Shaq's point, and you and I spoke about this last night, was this. How is Donovan Mitchell making $5 million less than Rudy Gobert?
Interesting you bring up Shaq. Keep going. Shaq has a problem with that.
Of course Shaq has a problem with that, because here's the thing. I'm a Rudy Gobert fan. I think he's a great defensive player, 2-time defensive player of the year. Usually he's leading in blocks, but Miles Turner's averaging 4.2 right now, which is ridiculous.
Right.
In and of its own. But I don't think Rudy Gobert is worth $200 million. I don't.
That contract should have been about $100 million.
I would have been okay if they did 125.
He should make about $100 million, but I don't want to mess with anyone else's money. So I need to respect that man got his bread and and his agent did what
he got his bread. He
but
did.
he's not
But
worth.
I think Donovan Mitchell deserved the biggest contract because the fact that Donovan Mitchell is being paid 195 million and doesn't have the biggest contract on that team.
I don't think Donovan Mitchell's really tripping on it, and I don't blame him. I mean, he's younger. Rudy's been in the mix for a minute, but Rudy 200 is a lot for someone of his caliber, my opinion. I mean, if Rudy's giving you 25, 12 and 5, if
Right,
he's
but
5 shots a game and he's getting me 12 rebounds a game and he's getting me 25 guaranteed.
here's the issue with Rudy though. And first of all, Rudy's making more money than JoJo Embiid. Let's just throw that up.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure he is. And here's my issue with Rudy Gobert. Take Rudy Gobert more than 10 feet away from the hoop on offense. What is he giving you?
Say that again. You faded out.
Take Rudy Gobert more than 10 feet away from the basketball hoop.
Yep.
And what is he giving you?
Duke. You know what that sound is? That's a brick.
That's a brick.
That's what it sounds like when it hits the rim. You know what I mean? Duke. That means
Yeah.
buckets. That means that he is what we call, my boy M-Dub1 would say, Dave Jones's brother, Deacon's brother would say, a self-check. Yeah, he's hurting himself there. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. So that's my point. The big difference between Rudy Gobert and like a Nikola Jokic, a Joel Embiid,
yes,
or a Karl Anthony Towns, kind of, is those boys can spread the floor. They might not be laser 3-point shooters, but they can spread the floor. They can hit mid range. They can go out from beyond 3. Rudy Gobert can't really do that.
No, and to bring up Shaq again, Shaq.
Well, Shaq couldn't do that either, but that's a whole different story.
Get it twisted. Shaq got a little 5-7 foot jump hook, 10-foot little jump hook.
Okay, but
now Rudy Gobert is going to bang on you every play like Shaq and average almost 30 like
Right.
Shaq. Then we
Right.
got a different conversation. But Shaq was a much better prolific scorer than him. No question.
I agree with you. I agree, and I think
We're talking about
right. So to what Shaq said, he said that Donovan Mitchell is one of his favorite players, but he wants to see more out of him.
well, he said
What else did he say then? He said a little more than that, but that's the general gist of what he said. But you go ahead. You quote it.
told him, man, I don't think you're that next guy. I don't think you can carry this team to where they need to be. And he said
Because of
that.
what's happened in the future. But he said that being a fan of Donovan Mitchell.
Absolutely. He wanted to hear. And even when Donovan Mitchell said, because first Donovan Mitchell said, okay, because he didn't want to disrespect Shaq. And Shaq was like, okay. And he was like, I've been hearing that my whole life. Donovan Mitchell said, I'm just going to have to show you. And Shaq's like, that's what I wanted to hear. And that's the thing. You got people dogging Shaq for pushing this young man to move on to the next level. I mean, it was kind of an awkward way that Shaq did it. But I think Donovan, and I'm sure Shaq reached out to Donovan after and said, hey, you know what I was trying to do to you right there, right?
Right. So. No, and that's why I respect Shaq for saying that. And I think that Donovan Mitchell's going to try to prove himself now, because Donovan Mitchell, in essence, was a couple plays away from playing the Clippers in the second round, and who knows what they could have done in that second round. But I think they're missing a piece. I think they're missing another scorer that can spread the floor.
I agree with you 100%. They're definitely missing another scorer, or just a mid-range guy. You know
who would be a good fit in Utah?
Oh, DeMar DeRozan.
How the hell did you know I was going to say that? That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because DeMar DeRozan, to me, I felt like the Lakers should have grabbed him.
DeMar DeRozan would be the perfect fit in Utah.
Oh, yeah.
The perfect fit.
20 to 29 if he needs to. He's going to get you 18.
And he's that mid-range shooter you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. I'll take DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, I wanted to go to the Lakers. I thought they were going to give up what's the name? They ended up signing him for a pretty good deal, for a decent little deal.
KCP.
Well, KCP, I figured that I thought he might have dipped, but he is Clutch Sports. So he stayed. And I thought what's the name was going to dip. The young gun. He was the only one that didn't get traded before. I don't know why I can't think of his name right now.
Kuz.
Yeah, I thought Kyle Kuzma was going to get traded. So I would have gave up Danny Green and Kuzma for DeRozan, hands down, easy.
Well, yeah, because DeRozan's exactly what that team needs. But I'm saying if Utah could get their hands on DeMar DeRozan, that's the piece you need to start making a run.
We're talking Western Conference Finals.
And Donovan can run the 1 or the 2 if need
yeah.
be.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
I just, you know what I mean? So I'm a big DeMar DeRozan fan. And when they were talking about, I remember I was talking about them getting them in this before they were talking about it. And then they started
Right.
talking about it. I was like, oh, let's get
But
this. And he's balling right now too.
but you know who's been a key piece for Utah? Who I made a huge mistake and completely forgot to put down as my 6th man of the year candidate is
Oh,
Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, I'm about to say your former Cleveland Cavalier.
Jordan Clarkson.
Jordan
I
Clarkson.
don't know why Cleveland traded him when they did. I don't know why they did.
He fits in with Utah real well.
He does. But I think that he's been a key piece to Utah's success too.
Makes you wonder,
think so.
if they get another player like a DeRozan, does he take his minutes, or does he go in and play the 2?
Clarkson just comes off the bench and you run DeRozan at the 3.
Yeah, Clarkson reminds me of a young Lou Williams.
Well, minus the lemon pepper.
But he reminds me of a sweet Lou a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
You know.
I agree. All right. Yeah, but anyways, so that was said. Now the last topic in the NBA was big performances in the past couple of weeks while we've been gone. Most recently, and he gets a lot of hate because he's up there with MJ, but LeBron against Cleveland had a very, very, very good game.
46 points.
46 points, 6 Stocktons, 8 Rodmans, 2 steals, 2 blocks.
What was he for the 3-point line?
And only 3 Hardens. I think he was like 7 for 11 or something like that.
Yeah, he balled.
And one of those he hit from half court. No, that was against Memphis, sorry. And you know what's something I saw? He scored 21 in the 4th quarter after a Cavaliers worker got hyped up when he missed the shot at the end of the 3rd.
Word on the streets is it was Dan Gilbert's right-hand man. So there's no love. It's a hate relationship with Bron and those guys. So
right, even though he went back and got them their ring.
Yeah. Well, he didn't do it for them. And they know he didn't do it for them.
No, he did it for the city.
So they can say that they have it, but no matter what, they badmouthed him. He came back.
Exactly.
Not one regardless. That's hard to, if you are a stubborn person, that's a hard pill to swallow, even though it's benefiting your city and your organization. Right. The fact that they disrespected that man when he left.
Right.
So there's no love lost there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that ring, they know that he came back, and if it was up to him, they would not even get a ring. That the owner and that guy. So.
Right. No, I agree. The other thing, and I want to go back to a week ago today, last Wednesday, the 20th. There was a lot of big performances that day, but that was the day when we saw young bull Colin Sexton go for 42, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block, and only 1 turnover, 1 hard in that whole game. And in 2 overtimes, and he scored, I think, the last 17 points for the Cavs, 17 straight, and he gave Kyrie buckets in that game. That was interesting. He gave Kyrie buckets while wearing Kyrie's old jersey number in Cleveland.
Oh, really?
On Kyrie's tribute night in Cleveland.
Ooh. Hey, so let me ask you this, though. So he's obviously a Kyrie Irving fan.
Oh, he is a Kyrie Irving fan. Oh, big time.
Did you hear what he said?
What'd he say?
He went into the locker room before the game. He went in, he saw James, Kyrie, and Kevin. He looks right at him and he goes, "Lace him up, boys. It's going to be a long fucking night."
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then he went and put in work against Kyrie. He's the Nets killer.
Wow.
Yeah, he is. Awesome. He is. He went in and put in work in that game.
2 nights in a row, too, right? They went back.
And listen, that's why they call him the young bull. He's a dog. There's no other way to put it. That dude will strap you up too. He'll take a challenge.
If they can land a major superstar, they're making noise too.
They're making noise without a major superstar. That's the crazy piece.
But I mean, not enough.
By the way, side note about that game that he scored 42 and that they won in double overtime by a score of, hold on, I lost it, by a score of 147 to 135. So your point about Brooklyn allowing a lot of points. Cleveland had 7 or 8 active players in that game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I saw what's the name? I saw
Darius Garland and Kevin Love both didn't play.
yeah, I saw Kev Love loving and hugging on my boy JaVale. They were on the sideline clowning when
and Darius Garland didn't play. And Darius Garland's a good player too.
he's a problem.
So those three didn't play and they still won that game. But there was two other players that night that went off.
Oh,
One was Capella. Capella went off against the Pistons.
Oh, okay, yeah. He had a triple double. He had 10 boards.
No. This is a different game. He had 27 points and 26 assists or rebounds that night. Sorry.
Woo.
Yeah. So Capella's fitting into Atlanta nicely, which is kind of what I figured was going to happen. But then that night you had Joel Embiid get 42 and 10 as well against the Celtics. But that's a whole different thing. But anyways, so that's that.
Yep.
Now I kind of want to shift over to the NFL.
Before you do that, can I talk about? You just brought up Joel Embiid. Can I
go ahead?
And then I'll let you shift right over.
Go ahead.
He's my MVP right now.
I agree. I think Donovan Mitchell's name needs to be mentioned. I think Donovan Mitchell's name.
It goes in waves. He's my MVP right now. And I was reassured the other night when he didn't play because he was out because of knees. They lost. Like, they don't win when he doesn't play. So, and he handled the Celtics not want to say all by himself, but he gave the Celtics that work. So that's my current MVP.
He did.
I still got Luka and LeBron up there.
LeBron after that performance the other night said, "Hey, don't forget about me."
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Right now, it would go Joel for me, then LeBron, then Luka. But that's just me. All right.
And then I would mention the Donovan Mitchell's in there.
Donovan Mitchell is in there.
Yeah.
He might be ahead of Luka right now. Okay.
Okay.
Like that.
So now we go into the NFL. Before we hit our Super Bowl preview, I think we need to talk about the two championship games. And there's not much to be said about the AFC Championship game, besides the fact that Kansas City, let Buffalo got out to a 9-0 start, and then it was really all Kansas City after that. So there's not much to be said there. I think the big game to be talked about is the NFC Championship game, because I really didn't start. I was doing house chores and stuff because I recently moved and I was, unpacking stuff, cleaning up, doing laundry, all that. So I started watching come the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth. As a football watcher, I'm not going to say I'm a big avid fan. I watch it. The Packers' last possession bothered me a lot, especially that last two plays. 3rd and goal. You can look up that picture online.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers could have walked into the end zone.
Yeah, what was he trying to do?
Instead, he tries to squeeze a pass to, I think it was...
He was double covered.
To a double covered wide receiver that was falling down too. And then Aaron Rodgers as a leader, when Matt LaFleur brings up the kicking unit, he needs to say no. He needs to take a timeout and he needs to say, listen, it's 4th and goal. If they don't get this, they'll have the ball on their own 5.
Yes.
And we can stop them. Instead, they kick a field goal, and then everyone's thinking, okay, you're going to onside kick. They didn't even do that. They sent that thing down to the end zone.
Right, to Tom Brady, of all people.
And then Tom Brady gets the ball. And there is only one person in the NFL that is more killer under 2 minutes than Aaron Rodgers, and that is?
Tom Brady.
Exactly. So I don't understand. Now, Matt LaFleur, you could say, well, he's an inexperienced coach. Yes, but he's been in the NFC Championship before. He was there last year. So you have to wonder what they were. The only smart play they did at the end of that game was when they intentionally lined up offside to give them that first down so they wouldn't run the clock out. That was the only smart play they did.
I agree with you 100%. I watched that last series. For one, when old boy dropped the 2-point conversion, But a lot of that, like I've been watching Stephen A and them guys on First Take, or Stephen A's, they want to blame LaFleur and blah, 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 blah. I can't buy Stephen A's brand there because the game was in the hand. They said
okay. First of all, I'm going to interrupt you for 2 seconds. You know why Stephen A is blaming LaFleur, right?
Oh yeah, he loves him some.
because
Loves,
he thinks Aaron Rodgers is a bad man.
he is
I
a
had
bad-
to say that.
He's not
I
lying.
had to say that. I'm sorry. I had
He's
to
not
say
lying there, but for him to pin it all on LaFleur, that's garbage because Aaron Rodgers has been in the league long enough and has been known to do certain things
that. Right.
that's
Exactly.
gone
Like, okay,
system.
right. If that's a rookie quarterback or a second-year quarterback, I understand. But it's
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers. He's
Yeah.
won a Super Bowl.
Aaron Rodgers should have been just like this when they said, "All right, we're going to kick." Aaron Rodgers should have been like, "Nah, send them off." We about
Yeah,
to kick.
exactly.
If we don't, then it's on me. And he should have left it at that, man. And so,
Because
I
then he's
believe-
sitting on the bench pouting.
yeah,
Like they're quietly, like he's upset. But I'm like, you could have done something to stop that.
I blame Aaron Rodgers. He should have ran the ball in on third down. He had so many moments that he could have ran in, but that
Right.
third down, he should have pump faked, and he was in there. He was in there. He should have did that. He did not.
Yeah.
And then
Two
when the
things-
coach pulled him
no, go
off
ahead.
fourth down to kick a field goal, he should have been like, "Nope, that's not what we're doing." Tom Brady, it was 4th and 3 at the end of the first half against
Green Bay.
against Green Bay, against Green Bay, and he was like, "Nope, I'm about to come
And
back
he-
out
and-
there. On second
and he-
thought, let me get back out there."
And he threw a tutty. Right.
Right.
I throw that out there. Now, two things I want to say. One, not all Packers fans, and I know this from social media, but a lot of Packer fans are completely forgetting about the two plays that we just talked about, and they're saying that what cost them the game was that pass interference call. That was a pass interference.
Blatant.
Blatant. They're
The
saying that
flag
oh
was late.
that was a questionable call. No, that was a pass interference.
PI. There was no questionable call about it. You can't
Right.
grab a man's shirt and it's being tugged and that's a PI.
Right.
Didn't
And
matter.
so, and
Didn't
the
matter.
blame of the game there is that last drive. And the second thing, and this is kind of a funny anecdote, is another thing I saw on social media. So you know how on Wikipedia they can edit things, right?
Mhm.
Somebody edited the NFC Championship game description of the NFC Championship game is the game where an NFC team beats the Green Bay Packers to go to the Super Bowl. Someone actually wrote that down.
Wow.
And I just sat there and I was like, dang, they did him cold. They did the cheeseheads cold.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is, man, I just that was on A-Rod.
It was. It was. It 100% was.
That was on A-Rod. He could have kept the game in his hands. He could have been like, "I'm not. Look, man, you drafted this quarterback when you should have got me Jefferson. You did all this stuff. I'm getting ready to do me right now. We're gonna go ahead and get this touchdown. If we don't, then it's on me. And our defense needs to D up on the 5 to 8 yard
Right.
line, and we need to get
Right.
the ball back. But we're going for this, and that's what he should have
Right.
did. So,
I agree.
um,
I agree.
and hats off to Tom. We got a lot of people out here that really swear they're green. All of a sudden, they're Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans, and it's disgusting to me.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It annoys me, but that's what it is. I mean, they act like Tom is still a Patriot. He's not. He left you.
And by the way,
I'm telling you, you need to hate him, but quit trying to act like he's still your quarterback because he's not your
Exactly.
quarterback anymore.
by the way, the Bernie Sanders memes with Bill's face on it saying, "Bill," you know the Bernie Sanders meme with the gloves that's been going around.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They put Bill's face on it and they said Bill watching Tom Brady go to the Super Bowl without the Pats. Killer. I think that's become great.
But that is great. But here's my thing: he still got to win the game.
He does. And
Bill
so okay, so
Belichick
that's a
better
perfect
than me,
segue. That's a
if-
perfect segue. Our Super Bowl preview.
Yeah,
Do you see them winning that game?
they can. They
Well,
can.
what's your prediction? What's your prediction?
But what's my prediction and my hope? I hope they don't. Like I hope Mahomes wins. I don't want to see Tom get 7. I'm a hater. He's the greatest of all time, but that don't mean I gotta like him. You know what I'm saying? So I hope to God he doesn't win because I don't feel like dealing with all these Patriot fans acting like it's almost like he still plays for the Patriots. Like
See, that's the problem. That's the one reason why
major
I'm like,
problem.
I don't want him to win. However, part of me wants to see a guy like Ndamukong Suh finally get his ring that he deserves. You know, guys that have like JPP get a ring there, although I think he had one with the Giants. Some people want to see AB get a ring, but I don't know about AB.
The problem, exactly. The problem is none of those guys will get credit for it. It'll all
No,
be
it's going to be all Tom Brady.
And that's what bothers me. And that's not that man's fault. That's not Tom Brady's fault. But I can't stand it. Like, quit trying to act like he didn't win a couple of these
And he
games.
gets it at home with the Buccaneer pirate ship. He gets it at home.
Yeah, that's why it would be even more glorious for him to lose. That's just me. That's just me. I don't want to see him get 7. I want to see Mahomes get 2. And what better player for Mahomes to beat? Pass the torch to the new guy, who, if he stays as healthy as long as Tom Brady, if he can have Tom
Brady, have as many as Tom Brady.
He will have as many. You mark my words. He will have as many as Tom Brady, or he will flirt with whatever Tom Brady's numbers are for Super Bowl.
Here's
third one in a row.
Here's my thing. I think Mahomes and the Chiefs will win, not because solely on this fact. There's two reasons why I think they're going to win, and it's actually not Travis Kelce. One is I don't think Tampa Bay has a person on their team that can line up and guard Tyreek Hill. That's the first thing. Right. Second thing is this: Patrick Mahomes can throw the ball with both hands. He can sidearm it or he can sling it. He can throw it while he's being sacked. He can throw it while he's being hit. He can throw it on the run. He can throw it behind his back. He can throw it off his head. I mean, there's like literally so many ways. It's like, how are you going to stop Patrick Mahomes from throwing the football?
Well, man, Tom Brady has a way of just, whether it's skill or luck, the football gods are almost always in that guy's favor, man. Along with
refs. I agree with you. I agree with you.
So I don't put nothing past that guy. You know what I mean? So,
and by the way, and this is going to segue perfectly into our next point, our last topic of the day. And I think this last topic goes perfectly with what we talked about last week. I think that a lot of the Chiefs' success deserves to go, but doesn't go to Eric Bieniemy.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about Bieniemy.
So here's the thing. Into Bieniemy, I have a list right here of every single head coach hired. Every single team that needed a head coach, except for Houston, has hired a coach.
So let's back up a little bit. I love that you slid that segment to where you did. What's your prediction and what's your score to Super Bowl?
Super Bowl. Okay. So I think it's going to be defense is going to be non-existent in this Super Bowl. Because Kansas City doesn't really have a defense, and Kansas City has a great offense. I think I'm going.
Steps up when they need to. They're better. I can't say they're better than Tampa Bay's D, because Tampa Bay's D.
No, Tampa Bay's D is better. The problem is, every time I've bet against Tom Brady, it's come back to bite me in the ass.
That's what he does.
So just because of that, 37-31 Tampa Bay.
All right. I'm going 35-24. I'm going to go Chiefs.
Chiefs. By the way, the last time I projected Tom Brady to win a Super Bowl when he was in a Super Bowl was Philly. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. And the last time he was in the Super Bowl, I projected the Rams to win. That's all I'm going to say too. So that shows you why I went the Tampa Bay route. But one thing I want to credit Tom Brady for, that LeBron has too. He's an old head and he keeps his body in shape with those 20-year-olds, man. That TB12 method is no joke. I just want to throw that out there.
Well, it's nice when you don't get touched. I mean, there's a reason.
Well, that too.
Ask Joe Montana and them guys how, you know what I'm saying? Ask cats that used to really get hit for real. None of these guys get hit for real. That's why I love Drew Brees. Brady's who Brady is. All these old heads, your Phillip Rivers, they don't get hit, man.
Hey, coach.
Hit. If Tom Brady could get hit the way he should get hit, his career would have been done 8 years ago. Real talk.
I will say this. Listen. There's only one quarterback you got to ask. There's two names that come to mind about asking quarterbacks about getting hit. One is Andrew Luck, and two is my Cowboy great Roger Staubach. If you ask those two about getting hit, man, those two got whacked.
Well, Luck played in the era where he didn't have to get whacked. He just ran it a lot. You know, if you run it a lot, then you're limited.
Staubach just got whacked.
Oh man, Staubach, Favre, Montana, Steve Young, them guys used to get cracked. That's why their careers weren't 100 years like Brady's. Not taking nothing away from Brady, because you can't. I mean, he plays in the era.
You can't.
You know, you can blow on him and it's a flag, or you can barely touch the front of a quarterback's face mask now and it's a penalty. Like, they're making sure you can't hit these quarterbacks.
Well,
So,
no. Then certain quarterback. If you're doing Derek Carr, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. If it was, and no disrespect to Derek Carr, if it was Raiders, Buccaneers, and a player was going to bat the ball down and on their way down hit Brady in the face,
oh, that's a flag.
15 yards. 15 yards.
Yeah.
If the same play, the same exact play happened to Derek Carr, they'd let it go. They'd say it was a football play.
Yes and no. I say that because Brady does get special treatment. He is the GOAT. But yeah, they look out for that cat. What else did I want to say? So we got our predictions.
So yes, and now I want to segue that into the coaches. Now, quick thing. I looked on this website where I was going to give you the head coaching hires, and I saw a news flash pop up that said who coaches that Houston has interviewed. But go ahead.
That they interviewed or that they hired?
That they interviewed.
They interviewed Leslie Frazier.
That's not the one I'm thinking of. Go ahead.
They interviewed Bieniemy.
Not that I know of. The two names I saw here was Jim Caldwell.
Yep.
Are you ready for this name?
Who?
Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Josh McCown.
I heard that name. I heard that name was being brought up.
Now, that segues perfectly into my next point. So they're the only team that haven't hired a coach yet. What?
Watson's got to get up out of there.
He does. But so they're the only team that hasn't hired a coach yet. And here's the list of coaches that have been hired. Beside Robert Saleh, who is of Muslim origin, which is, by the way, great for the league that the New York Jets hired, but he's still not an African-American coach. Beside that, tell me if any of these coaches are of diverse background. Urban Meyer, Jacksonville hired. Arthur Smith, the Atlanta Falcons. Brandon Staley, Los Angeles Chargers. Dan Campbell, Detroit Lions. And Nick Sirianni, Philadelphia Eagles. And here is also a list. By the way, this is a great list. This list right here tells you who each team interviewed, by the way. Just so you know. On every single one of these lists, there is either one of or two or three of the following coaches: Eric Bieniemy, Raheem Morris, Leslie Frazier, Todd Bowles, and Marvin Lewis. And none of them got the job.
Who? They all interviewed for somebody?
Look, so here it is. Here's who Atlanta interviewed: Bieniemy, Bowles, Joe Brady, Nathan Hackett, Raheem Morris, Robert Saleh, and Arthur Smith. This is who Detroit interviewed: Bevel, Bieniemy, Bowles, Campbell, Marvin Lewis, Saleh, and Smith. This is who the Texans have interviewed so far: Bieniemy, Joe Brady, Jim Caldwell, Dave Culley, Matt Eberflus, Leslie Frazier, Tim Kelly, Marvin Lewis, Josh McCown, Brandon Staley. The Jags interviewed Bieniemy, Urban Meyer, Raheem Morris, and Saleh. The Chargers interviewed Bieniemy, Brady, Dabble, Eberflus, Jason Garrett, Saleh, Smith, Staley. The Jets interviewed Bieniemy, Brady, Dabble, Eberflus, Glenn, Patrick Graham, Marvin Lewis, Robert Saleh, Arthur Smith, Brandon Staley, and finally, the Philadelphia Eagles interviewed Dennis Smith, Eric Bieniemy, Todd Bowles, Joe Brady, Gerard Mayo, Josh McDaniels, Kellen Moore, Robert Saleh, Nick Sirianni, Arthur Smith, Brendan Staley.
You said Gerard Mayo?
Gerard Mayo, the Eagles interviewed.
The Patriots dude.
Yes, Gerard Mayo.
Who has he been coaching for? Who's he been an assistant for? Wasn't he just playing like last year?
No. He's the Pats linebacker coach.
Man,
but
he
anyways,
ain't out of the league long, but that's
but
good.
anyways, Eric Bieniemy was on every single one of those lists.
Right.
One job, not one. Todd Bowles was on 3 of them. Leslie Frazier was on 3 of them. Raheem Morris was on 2 or 3. Marvin Lewis was on 2 or 3. And Marvin Lewis gets a bad rep because of the Bengals and because of Stephen A. Smith. But still.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, It says something.
You know what? I'm gonna send this list to the Deacon later. Because
Yeah.
damn.
But we all knew. We talked about this on a recent show.
We knew that, but
To see it in your face again.
But the thing is we didn't know. First of all, I didn't know that Eric Bieniemy interviewed with every single one of those teams. He wants to be a head coach.
Right.
Now, Houston hasn't made their decision yet, which is making me inclined to believe this. Maybe Houston is waiting to see if what happens in terms of the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Because maybe he's their guy, but they just won't say anything until the Super Bowl's over.
And that's respectful. And
that's respectful.
Houston hasn't been very respectful in thinking about that. So I'm sure their PR guys are like, hold off on what we want to do.
But here's another thing that's interesting.
Bieniemy's like one of the only ones that I feel can keep Deshaun Watson wanting to stay there.
Right. But here's the other thing that's interesting, and this is where I'm giving my props to Houston. Bieniemy's only had one interview. Caldwell had his second interview recently. They're planning a second interview with Leslie Frazier, and they had a second interview with Dave Culley, the Ravens' assistant head coach and wide receiver coach.
Right.
So from what it looks like, they're either going to go Leslie Frazier, Jim Caldwell, maybe Bieniemy. So we might get one black coach out of that, one African American coach.
Right.
And Leslie Frazier did his thing this year.
Yeah. Was he with the Bills?
He was the Bills' head coach or assistant head coach and defensive coordinator.
Okay. And he used to be with Minnesota, right? He used to be the head coach.
He did. And I think, but back to your point, I think the only player that keeps Deshaun Watson there is the only coach is Bieniemy. Maybe Leslie Frazier does. Maybe.
Caldwell could too.
Could too.
I think Bieniemy's the job for Bieniemy would have been Jacksonville for me to just start up.
And I don't know. See, I don't know why they went the Urban Meyer route, because we've seen college coaches in the NBA before, or in the NFL before. We saw Saban. We saw Chip Kelly, the train wreck that was. Right. So I don't know why they went the Urban Meyer route. And the other thing about Jacksonville is this: they have a diverse, somewhat head owner, and they only interviewed 4 guys. They interviewed Meyer, Bieniemy, Morris, and Saleh. Saleh got hired by the Jets very quickly.
Sure, but you notice, you see the funny thing about that, they made sure they interviewed 3 minorities.
But I think they knew all along who they wanted.
Yeah, of course they did, but that's how the Rooney Rule worked. That's the sad part about the Rooney Rule. As good of a rule as it is, it's just designed to all right, we're just going to make sure we interview someone of color. You know what I mean? Just to do it.
3 to make it look good.
We're not going to hire them. We're not going to hire them.
They made 3 to make it look.
Say that we didn't interview them and follow the rules of the Rooney Rule. That's kind of what it is.
The other thing I want to touch upon is the whole Lions situation. So I watched the Stephen A. Smith thing that you sent me. First of all, I laughed out loud when Stephen A. goes, I don't understand why Dan Campbell was talking about we'll get back up, we'll bite their knees, we'll do this, all that, like as if you guys have been getting back up when the Lions haven't won one playoff game in 60 years.
Right.
But I don't understand what they saw in Dan Campbell that besides skin color that they didn't see in Eric Bieniemy.
I don't know. If I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'm not trying to go to Detroit.
That's fair.
So
but
I would.
You interviewed for all the jobs and you might not even get one.
Right. It's insane.
That's not right.
No, it's not right. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you what is right and what I do love. And this is the only thing that would make me not bitter if Tampa Bay wins, because I don't want Tom to get 7. What would make me happy if they won is the fact that Bruce Arians, every single coach that holds a major position in that, so your D coordinator, your offensive coordinator,
special teams,
they are black. He's the only coach in the NFL with a pretty much all black staff, right?
By the way, I don't know if you know this. Hats off. Hey,
shout out to Bruce Arians for that.
Keep your hat off for a second, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember from that Stephen A. thing, but Washington Is the only
Oh, yeah.
team with 2 minority for GM and
I
president.
told you about that. Remember when Deacon was on, I was talking to you about that.
Yeah.
I was talking about that. Shout out to that too. Take the hat off.
Show the
out.
bald head. Show the
No,
shiny
but
head.
yeah, no. I knew that. I remember I mentioned that to you, and that's what's interesting.
You
'cause
had.
That's a Snyder. That's coming from Snyder, who a lot of people look as not a person that's a fan of people of color. But
Hey,
I can't
changing.
knock
Who's
him for
changing?
that.
All right. Well, anyways, that to me kind of wraps up this episode. Except for your little keeping you on the know. You have something about the money, the greenbacks.
I do. There's a couple things that I need to discuss too. So the first one is before I even do that, I'll save that for the next episode. My other deal, next episode, I'm definitely going to talk about being out here in Maine and the 5-cent redemption piece. Just remind me to talk about that the next time.
Yeah, and we'll also have Mike on next show, right?
Yeah, that's the plan. 5 cent. I got to reach out to him again. If not, we'll get another guest for sure.
Hey,
5
hey,
cent.
by the way,
Yeah.
before you say that about Mike, another thing that Frank told me. He
Mhm.
said, you want to talk about the king of networking. If you ever need a connection, he said, that's Jason Jackson for you.
I don't know about all that, man, but I try to
Also, the funniest thing he said, so I'm sitting in Hendo's chair, and I'm like, damn. Hendo, I was like, you got Frank's photo with J-Jax up close and personal. He goes, yeah. He comes in and says, I got a gift for you, and hands me a picture of himself. I started laughing my ass off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, handing him a picture of me and Frank, man. I got one
Yeah.
that barbershop and the other one, So
Hey, yeah, Frank says you walk in any of my barbershops and you'll see a picture of Coach Jackson. I said, that's respect right there.
my guy, man. I love that dude, man. He's a great dude. Everybody he hires is great, man. He's just good people. So
Yeah, but anyways, go ahead.
get to that
5-cent redemption next week. But what are you doing?
putting you up on game. Just putting you up on game segment. I just found this out today. Money isn't made out of paper. It's
What?
made out of linen.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It dangs. The problem, what I don't understand about it is it rips like paper. You know what I mean? Like when money's
paper.
ripped, they're taping that stuff right back together like a piece of paper that's important. So anyways, money isn't made out of paper. It's made out of linen. So next time you sit out and look at some cash, man, understand that that's not really paper you're looking at,
That's linen. So next time when I owe my friend money and he says, give me the paper, I have a piece of paper in my hand and hand that to him and say, give me linen.
Money. Give him some Monopoly money. Here you go. You know what I'm saying? Hey, shout out Fresh West for linking this up. That concludes the 4th episode of the Coffee
We'll be
Table.
back next week.
Yeah. Next week, hopefully we got a guest. Hopefully we got a guest coming in with us, or you're not coming in with us, but zooming in with us.
Yeah.
I talked to a couple people, so could be my guy Dewan, who runs the Red Claws.
Hey, and I know Dewan too, so
Yeah.
that'd be cool too.
Great
dude.
That, so we'll figure it out.
And when the link is up, we'll post it on the YouTube. So stay posted.
That like and subscribe button.
Like
please.
and subscribe button, and peace and love to everyone. And we'll see y'all next week.
Yes, sir.